Are you alone right now? Have you ever had the feeling that you're being watched? That unsettling chill that creeps up your spine, the sense that someone or something is lurking just out of sight. Night shifts are eerie enough as they are. The world sleeps while you work, and the silence becomes deafening. But what if the silence isn't empty? What if something lingers in the darkness, watching you, waiting for the perfect moment to let you know it's there? The following are true horror stories from night shift workers in 2025, security guards, nurses, lone gas station clerks, and those who have experienced the unexplainable. If you think the night is peaceful, these stories might make you think twice. Keep reading, but be warned. Once you start, you might not want to turn off the lights. Story 1. The Man Who Wasn't There. I work as a night shift security guard in a mostly abandoned office building. The top floors haven't been used in years, but I still have to do my rounds, making sure no one sneaks in. One night around 2:45 a.m., I took the elevator up to the 14th floor, one of the old, unused levels. It was always unsettling up there, with flickering lights and desks covered in dust. As I stepped out of the elevator, I heard footsteps. Someone was walking down the hallway. I called out, "Security! Who's there?" No answer. I pulled out my flashlight and walked toward the sound. The footsteps stopped. Just silence now, pressing in on me. Then a whisper right next to my ear. "You shouldn't be here." I spun around, shining my flashlight in all directions. There was no one. But then I noticed something that made my stomach drop. The dust on the floor. There were footprints, leading to the very spot I was standing, but no footprints leading away. I ran back to the elevator and smashed the button for the ground floor. As the doors were closing, I caught a glimpse of something down the hallway. A shadowy figure standing still, watching me leave. I never went up to the 14th floor again. Story 2. The Last Patient. Hospitals at night are a different world. The usual chaos fades into an eerie stillness, interrupted only by the occasional beeping monitors and the distant sound of footsteps echoing down empty halls. I was working the graveyard shift in the emergency room, and at 3:00 a.m., things were unusually quiet. That's when he arrived. A man in his late 60s was brought in on a stretcher, completely unresponsive. No ID, no wallet, nothing. The paramedics said they found him collapsed outside a diner a few blocks away. His skin was ice cold and his lips were a strange shade of blue. We rushed him to a room and began trying to revive him. No pulse, no breath. After 20 minutes of CPR, the doctor called it. Time of death, 3:23 a.m. As per protocol, I had to prep the body for the morgue. I pulled the sheet over his face, turned off the lights, and walked out of the room to grab paperwork. I was gone for less than 2 minutes. When I came back, the sheet was on the floor, and the man was sitting up on the bed. His back was facing me, shoulders hunched unnaturally. My heart slammed in my chest as I took a shaky step closer. "Sir?" My voice came out barely above a whisper. He turned. His eyes were pure black. His mouth opened unnaturally wide, stretching past the limits of human anatomy. A guttural rasping sound came from his throat, like he was trying to speak but had no air left in his lungs. Then in a blink, he collapsed backward onto the bed, completely lifeless again. The heart monitor was still flatlined. He was still dead. But I swear on everything, that thing inside him had been alive. The worst part, when I checked the security footage later, it showed me entering the room alone. Story 3. The Woman in Room 209. I've worked night shifts at a hotel for years, and let me tell you, hotels are breeding grounds for the supernatural. Something about the constant turnover of people, the emotions left behind, the tragic deaths that no one ever talks about. One night a call came from room 209. It was static at first, just crackling and silence. Then a woman's voice barely above a whisper. "He's in here with me." Chills crawled down my spine. Room 209 had been empty all night. No guests had checked in. I called my co-worker and we went up together. The hallway was dead silent, the air thick with something heavy. We knocked. No answer. We unlocked the door and slowly pushed it open. The room was freezing cold. The curtains fluttered, even though the window was closed. And the closet door was wide open. Inside there was a chair. An old wooden chair facing the bed like someone had been watching. But the room had been empty for days. The next morning we checked the records. Room 209 had a history. Years ago, a woman had been found murdered in the closet, tied to a chair. Guests still report waking up to find the chair moved, facing their bed. Story 4. The Thing in the Parking Lot. I work alone at an all-night gas station on the outskirts of town. The place is desolate. Nothing but empty roads and dense woods surrounding us. One night around 4:15 a.m., a car pulled up to pump 3. It was an old black sedan. Looked like it hadn't been driven in years. The headlights stayed on, but no one got out. I waited a few minutes, then stepped outside. "Need help?" I called. No response. I took a few steps closer, and that's when I saw it. The driver's seat was empty, but the engine was running. A sickening chill ran down my spine. I backed away slowly, but as I turned, something tapped on the window of the car. Tap, tap, tap. I turned my head. A hand was pressed against the glass, inside the car. Long, bony fingers, too pale, too thin. And then, the fingers curled in a beckoning motion. I ran inside, locked the doors, and watched from the security monitors. The car sat there for another hour, headlights on, engine running, completely empty. Then at exactly 5:17 a.m. the lights cut off. When I checked the footage later, the car had never pulled in. It had just appeared. I quit a week later. Story 5. The laughing patient. Elderly patients see things we don't. They're closer to the other side. I had one patient, an old woman named Margaret, who used to laugh in the middle of the night. She'd stare at the corner of the room and giggle like a child. "Margaret, what's funny?" I asked one night. She turned to me, eyes wide and glossy. "The man in the corner tells funny jokes." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What man?" She grinned, but her expression was wrong. "The one with no eyes." My shift ended at 6 a.m., and as I was walking past Margaret's room one last time, I glanced inside. She was sitting upright in bed, eyes fixed on the corner. Her mouth stretched into a wide smile. "And then," she laughed. But it wasn't her laugh. It was deeper, and it came from the corner of the room. If you've ever worked a night shift, you know the feeling. The isolation, the sensation of something watching you. The shadows that seem to move just out of sight. Maybe it's just exhaustion. Maybe it's just the mind playing tricks. Or maybe some things only come out at night.